You're listening to Pet World Radio, and this is the Addictive Reef Keeping with Tyler Johnson. Stay tuned for live chats, expert guests, tips and tricks, product reviews, and many more topics.
Hi, and welcome to the Addictive Reef Keeping Show. I'm your host, Tyler Johnson, and tonight we're talking to Marc Levenson, and I am super excited to talk to this guy. I actually came across this guy on YouTube back in 2011, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this tank, but there's this tank where he pulls out this little walk board, is what he calls it, and slams it at the side of his tank, and he can stand up, work on his tank. Well, I fell in love with this tank, and now I have the honor to interview you and talk about Sumps. He's got this website called Melevsreef. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. I'll have him pronounce it, but I spent all day on his website today checking it out, and I have to say it's probably one of the best I've seen out there, especially for people who, work on sumps or have, little tiny tanks or sun corals or all kinds of things. The guy's probably done it, and he does a great way of setting that up on a site. So, Marc, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, give everybody a little bit of your background, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. I really appreciate being brought on the show, and basically I'm a humble hobbyist like many of everyone else out there, even though I'm in the industry in that I sell aquarium fish supplies, especially for filtration. I mainly look at everything from a hobbyist perspective and try to help people anticipate before they spend money on decision-making, including how to even design their sumps. I could go on forever, but I'm trying not to take over the show.
Well, give me a little bit of information on your tank. I saw that I think you're running 400-watt metal halides on that tank. Am I correct?
Yeah, in part, yes. It's a 400-gallon reef that's 7 feet long by 3 feet wide, and I've got 3 metal halide bulbs over it. There's 2 250-watt bulbs and 1 400-watt bulb in the middle. And that goes back to the days where I used to have a 10K, a 20K, and a 10K bulb over the tank. And having that hotter, stronger wattage bulb in the center evened out the par so you wouldn't have a dark spot in the middle where all the blue light was located. But now I've switched to a different type of bulb called the Twin Arc, and it runs all 3 lights are in 10K for a few hours, and then all 3 lights are 20K for a few hours. And so now I have to decide if I want to go all 400 or if I'm going to go to all 250s. I haven't made up my mind.
Now, I see that you're still doing metal halide. Is that? I mean, honestly, how much does it cost to run something like that? Set aside everything else, but just lights like that. How much would that cost to be running that on a monthly basis?
Well, I did the math a while back. Here in Texas, we have deregulation, and so our electricity rates are actually quite affordable. I believe where I am, I'm like 8.4 cents per kilowatt hour. So to run my lights, the total of 6 hours per bulb, which is 18 hours of metal halides, spread across the tank, that comes out to about $35 a month.
Sounds like a cheap cable bill to me.
It's not bad. If I was in California, the rates, being at 35 cents per kilowatt hour, it would probably be much more painful. But I know some California residents that start their tank lights at 6 at night and end at 1 in the morning because they want to enjoy it in the evenings when the rates are cheaper.
Exactly. I got a friend of mine who does that in Oregon, but he does it for commercial reasons. He runs his tanks at night to save on money. But I think I pay about 7.7 cents per kilowatt, which isn't too bad. But all right, guys, so we're going to basically get into talking about sumps, and I'm a big advocate on it. I think it pretty much is an insurance policy, let's say, basically giving you more time to deal with the problems in your tank that happen on a daily basis. Do you want to go ahead and jump into what kind of filtration sump system you are familiar with that you deem safe for you to use, Marc?
Well, over the years, when I first got into looking at getting a sump set up, the big system that was recommended was the Berlin system. And that basically was a skimmer zone with a few other reactors and then a return zone, but there was no refugium tied in. And this was back in, I'd say, 2001, 2002. And refugiums were beginning to become popular where you could hang it on the side of your tank and grow some plants in there. And I had made my own sump myself out of acrylic after doing some reading online and put all my macroalgae in a zone specifically for that. And people were so impressed with how it came out where, it was fine. It wasn't anything incredible, but they liked it.